A dyad is a two-note chord, more commonly called an interval. And we'll see that the naming of an interval requires the specification of two things: a number and a quality. The number is determined by the position of notes on the staff, and the quality by the number of semitones separating the two notes on the keyboard The interval of the octave on the staff is line, 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 space. So here's a C, here's the other C. Another way to define the octave on the staff is space, 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 line. So here's the lower D and here's the higher upper D. In both these cases, the number of semitones is starting from the C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 semitones. Is a perfect octave. I'll write that as perfect 8, and the abbreviation is capital P 12. Excuse me, capital P 8. From a D to a D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, also a perfect 8. If we make the interval smaller by one semitone by, for example, lowering the upper note and making it D flat, so the D would become here, then we'd have 11 semitones in the interval, and this interval would be called a diminished 8, or little d 8. Another way to achieve the same effect of making the interval smaller would be to leave the upper D alone and take the bottom note and raise it, in this case with a sharp, again to produce an interval with 11 semitones, which is a diminished 8th. To increase the interval by one semitone to 13 semitones, we could take the perfect octave and raise the upper note by a half step, so the D would go to a D sharp. That would produce an extra semitone of 13 semitones, and the name of that interval would be an augmented 8th. And the shorthand symbol for that abbreviation is capital A 8. And the other way to do this is to leave the upper note alone and to lower the bottom note with a flat, and this would also be an augmented 8. In that last example, I've taken the D and I made it D flat. The octave is formed on the staff by taking line, 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 space, or space, 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 line. When we count the number of semitones on the keyboard, we see that with 12 semitones we have a perfect eighth. With one less semitone, 11, we have a diminished eighth. And with one more, that is 13 semitones, we have an augmented eighth.